So Isaac Newton. When you look at Isaac Newton, you think apple, gravity, you think calculus, really smart dude.
Crazy hair.
Well, that's pretty much Isaac Newton in a jar right there. So today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about Isaac Newton and all the cool things he's done for society. The first thing to start off with is the apple.
Incident. He's sitting down by a tree, he's chilling there, and an apple falls on his head. He goes, "What? That hit me." And he's like, "Gravity." Well,
Yes and no. Yes, that's partially how it happened. No, it didn't just poof, he knew about the law of gravity. He had to then prove it mathematically. The apple incident is actually a true incident. It's not just a myth. It is written by Isaac's friends in his memoirs as well, that he was sitting there and an apple fell in front of him and he thought, well, why should an apple always descend perpendicular to the ground? It's written in his memoirs. Why should it not go sideways or upwards, but constantly straight perpendicular to the ground and always constantly towards the Earth's center? Assuredly, the reason is the Earth draws it there. There must be a drawing power in matter, and the sum of the drawing power of the Earth must be in the Earth's center, not in any side of the Earth. Basically, what he's saying is, if you throw a baseball straight at the end, it's going to come straight down. If you drop, a Coke bottle, it's going to drop straight down. Everything that we do is going to try and bring things straight to the center of the Earth, and that doesn't just stop with within a few miles of the Earth. It also stops with the moon. The moon's still trying to get to the center of the Earth, but because of a few other forces, which he also proved, it's not going to just come crashing down into us one day. But it is what keeps it in orbit. And he proved that mathematically through calculus. In his calculus, he discovered quite a few things. He discovered, Newton's law of motion. Anything that is in motion wants to stay in motion, and without forces. Physics, basically, is based off of all of his laws. You look at he came up with centrifugal force. He came up with gravity, of course, and things like that. But some of the other things that he's really, really known for is his advancements in optics, particularly with light. Basically what happened was he was sitting there one day and a prism was sitting on his windowsill and he noticed it cast a rainbow on his wall. And he wondered, he was like, wow, why is that happening? Why do I now have a rainbow instead of white light coming through it? And that's when he came up with the theory that white light, the light that comes out of the light is sitting right above you right now, is actually a mixture of every light color out there. And he was proven right. And when he hold up a prism, it comes out in a rainbow. It gives you all the colors, not just the ones we can see, but there's also infrared and ultraviolet. Everything is in there. The second part he found was that with that technology, he came up with improvements on the telescope. He found that when it goes through the lens at the beginning, it actually does separate the light a little bit, and it actually blurs the resolution so that you're not getting a good enough view as you could. So Galileo did indeed invent the telescope, but Isaac made it awesome. He made it better. He made it cooler. What he did was he actually put a mirror in the back of the telescope. So the light comes in, hits the mirror, and then comes out of the side. And that's when we get to see our pictures of different universes, get pictures of Mars, Venus, things you can't see with the naked eye. And you're like, wow, well, that's pretty cool. How well does that work? Well, it works so well that we put it in the Hubble Space Telescope. It's got like 15 mirrors in it to bounce that image back and forth until it's perfectly clear. We're still doing it. Every large telescope out there has the same thing. Speaking of the heavens, he also came up with he proved the heliocentric system. It was known for some time at the time that the Earth did evolve around the sun. So you got the sun here, you got Earth out here, woo! And around the Earth, let's say it's the Earth right here, you've got the moon. Well, why does the moon circle the Earth even though the sun's bigger, but the Earth circles the sun? And he came up with the three forces that prove that. He came up with the centripetal force, the inherent force, and the law of resistance. Basically, centripetal force is defined as it impedes or attracts a body to some point regarded as the center. Basically, center, centripetal force, you want to keep doing that. All right? Basically, then there's inherent force, which is a body is defined in a way that prepares the idea of inertia in Newton's first law.
Basically, if you throw a baseball straight forward, it's going to keep going straight forward until something stops it. Now, on Earth, that means gravity. But in space, you throw a baseball, and it's gone. It's going to keep going that same direction until something gets in the way.
And then he came up with resistance. So what this all came up, what this all means is that the moon, let's say, we'll go big here. The moon wants to circle the Earth, all right? Because of centripetal force, it wants to go away from the Earth. Because of inherent force, it also wants to keep going straight. So you got two forces here. And then our little Earth right here, you got your forces here. It's got gravity pulling it in. So that's why the moon stays in constant orbit. It doesn't come crashing in or then just leave. So it stays in orbit and is always orbiting, our Earth. The resistance that comes in with that is basically a property of the medium that regular impedes motion. It's going to be our gravity. It's what keeps it holding together. That's what it's the centripetal force going out. Gravity's keeping it in. That's what the resistance is going to do right there. And then finally, one of the cool things that he did was while he was there, one of his good friends was John Locke. We all know John Locke. Helped America do the American thing and get some freedom. That John Locke. John Locke actually got him a job at the Royal Mint. And when Newton got in there, he actually did an audit of the coins. And this is a really cool story just for you. He did an audit of the coins, and he found that 20% were counterfeit. 20%. Think about that. That is hundreds of millions of dollars that are counterfeit. Because, back then they didn't have paper money, they just had coins. So he did an audit, and after that audit, he started to seeing that there were higher amounts here, higher amounts there. And he led him down an investigation that he actually tried and executed 28 coiners. So this guy wasn't just all science and math. This guy had some real, huevos on him. He was. But you ask yourself, how was a man like this able to get to where he was? Well, it's actually really funny, fun story. He started out at King's School, and he did Latin at the school, but no math. And he really wanted to get math, and he actually got bullied there by a guy. And so he quit school. He went home, and his mom tried to turn him into a farmer. And he was like, nah, I'm not having it. I want to go back to school, and I want to do it in math. And he went back to school, and he found that the bully was also doing math. And so to get really good at math, to get back at the bully, he decided, he's like, dude, I'm going to beat this guy. He's like, I can't beat him physically, but I can beat him mentally. And he went back, and he distinguished himself through a lot of math-related things. At that time, it was building sundials and models of windmills, but that was revolutionary at the time. You gotta understand, it's like us building, solar arrays and things like that. Craziness. But after that, you also got to realize that he didn't really have a social life. He devoted his life to science. He devoted his life to public works and things. He never married. And as the French writer Voltaire wrote, he said at Newton's funeral, he said, he was never sensible to any passion, was not subject to the common frailties of mankind, nor had any concern with women. A circumstance which was assured me by the physician and the surgeon who attended to him in his last moments. Basically, the guys that took care of him in his last days, they remarked that he didn't have any kind of romantic affairs. He devoted his life to his works, and it paid off for him. The man lives in fame till to this day.